Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Northeast Scene Podcast. This is Keith.
And Tommy.
How's everybody doing? And we're back, and tonight's guest is the frontman of local legends Blueskiesfade, Ian Kerner.
Oh, yeah.
Ian! Now, Ian, I'm glad you're here. I haven't seen you probably since I was 17 years old.
Yeah, it was definitely a long time.
Where have you been?
Everywhere.
Let me ask you this. You live in Philadelphia right now, right?
No, actually, I live in Jersey now.
Oh, where at in Jersey?
I'm in Medford.
Medford. Where is that? My Jersey geography is like horrible.
It's like Route 70, if you were going to LBI or something from Philly.
Okay.
Route 70, out towards the woods, basically.
Yeah, I'm saying okay, but I still have no idea what that is.
It go out like Cherry Hill and then keep going, like
And
Burlington
keep going,
County.
right.
Yeah, like Burlington County.
Yeah, now, like I mentioned before, Ian, I haven't seen or spoken to you in a long time, and one of the great things about the Instagram we created and the podcast is just reconnecting with everybody. You know, I used to have my regular Instagram, and I would post all these hardcore show videos and flyers, and people just weren't on the level, man. Like they just weren't getting it, and I was like, man, I feel like I'm not reaching my people. Where are my people? So,
Right.
doing the Instagram, we just discovered all these different sites and people, and like our people. You know what I mean? The same people, the people who listen to the shit that we listen to, and then you popped up, and I'm like, holy shit, it's Ian.
Did I say something stupid?
No.
Oh,
no.
usually I do.
We will say many stupid things on this podcast.
I know, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Thank God for post with this thing, because afterwards I usually just go, Keith, you got to take out the thing about this, this, and this, and he's like, yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
I'm starting a collection of intros that I fuck up, and I'm gonna make like a montage of them.
Yeah, you should. That'd be pretty funny, actually.
Let's take it way back.
Okay.
Ian, where did you grow up originally?
Actually, I went to high school here in Medford. Between that and Delaware County, Pennsylvania. But, mostly here in Jersey.
Now, I always thought of Blueskiesfade as a Jersey band, so is that where most or all of those guys were from?
Yeah, we were all from this town, actually.
Oh, so you guys were all from Medford?
Yeah.
So did you guys meet in high school? Is that how, like, the typical band?
Everybody was from Medford in the band, yeah. Sean being the oldest, the I guess recording, the guys that were in it when we were recording. Sean was the oldest, and but we all grew up in the same neck of the woods here.
So was there a big scene there? And now the Jersey scene was just completely unknown to me, except for Marlton, I guess.
Well, yeah, it was. I don't know. It kind of was non-existent. Besides, like, real small bands. But of the real small bands between Burlington County, Camden County, etc., we had a lot of local shows. That's how we, got to meet This Day Forward and all you guys on that side of the river, more or less,
Did you meet This Day Forward at that now legendary Ashland Church gig? Was that the first time?
I'm pretty sure it was one of the Ashland Church things, but I know for a fact that it had something to do with Rick Barnhart. I remember he had a tape or something from them, and he brought it around. He's like, "You guys got to play with these dudes." Yeah,
Rick, there's a guy I haven't seen in a really long time.
Yeah, he's I guess he's doing well. He's I see him, once a year. He's actually my son's godfather, so
wow.
He comes around once in a while for birthdays and stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. But that's actually how I met my wife, too, is through him.
So this guy is a major player in your life.
Well,
I mean, if God forbid something happens to Ian, Rick is stepping in.
Oh, well,
that's the whole deal. Of
and the best part is he's probably a godfather to like 47 different kids. And I was like, you're going to have like a 50th birthday and everybody's going to die except you.
Do you think that makes him really nervous, like in COVID times? He could end up with like 50 extra cases.
Exactly. I'd be like terrified if I was him. You gotta learn how to say no, buddy.
So how did you discover the scene?
It was actually the Vanderpools. Like the Sean Vanderpool being our guitar player. Years before, I even knew what hardcore was. He was doing shows and all that kind of stuff and playing in bands. And then his brother Eric. Actually, I sat next to him in 10th grade geometry. And that's how, I became friends with him. And he was putting on a show out in the middle of nowhere, Jersey. And with that band Rigid, which was also from Medford. They played a lot all over the place. But yeah, like that's how I got it to go into his shows and stuff. And he started dragging me all over the earth to go and see bands play.
So how do you hook up with Blueskiesfade? Now, at that age, it was my dream to sing in a band. But I was never tapped by anyone to sing in a band. So how do you get the call?
It was just the right spot, the right time, I guess. I was in like an old school hardcore band called Stain, and Eric Vanderpool actually played bass in it. But I guess they just asked one day, like, dude, you should come try out or whatever. And it was me and Dave, and I guess they didn't know when to choose, so they just said, all right, let's just do it. So we both did it.
Yeah, the two-singer era of hardcore, I think, needs to make a comeback. I don't know why.
I don't think so. But
I would just like to see it again.
I couldn't stand it.
Let me ask you right up front, like,
what?
Yeah, with two singers, it's got to make things a lot more difficult, right? Like, how do you decide who's going to sing what part, and do you have to like say like, no, I don't want to do that, or I mean, how does it work?
Yeah, I don't even remember, to be honest with you. Other than we were somehow agreeable, and I know there was a lot more work on some people's parts and other people's parts and stuff like that. But it kind of turns into too many chiefs and no Indians. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of a weird. It was kind of a weird thing. It's different than having like two guitar players. It's like two people doing the same exact thing. It'd be like having two drummers or something, I guess.
Yeah, it's like a front man, not front men. Like that is a weird kind of like who steps forward and who steps back.
Yeah, and I would imagine I saw all else fail with two singers. You stand there, who do you look at?
Yeah, like what did you have to like figure out shit to do when you weren't singing?
I just banged my head and went crazy, I guess. But
yeah,
it was just weird. Because after Dave left, it made a lot more sense, but it was a whole hell of a lot more to scream. That's for sure.
Yeah, your parts are like doubled.
Yeah, I remember there was definitely a stamina problem at first.
So when Dave leaves, do you like have access to his lyrics? How do you learn them all?
Yeah, well, I wrote most of that stuff. Or me and Sean. Except the song Blueskiesfade, Brian wrote the entire thing. But, so yeah, it was kind of just like, he was just kind of reading, the words that we wrote kind of a thing.
Okay. So I'm going to go back a little bit. So you try out for the band, right? Does that first initial tryout go okay?
Yeah, it was just like, all right, let's do it. Cool. It wasn't really like a big thing. It was just like a bunch of local dudes kind of, hanging out. I don't think it was really like a let's take over the world thought, you know what I mean, at the time.
Okay, so from when you tried out for the band, how soon were you guys playing shows?
I would have said it was a while. It had to be a year at least. I remember Sean was always very like, there's certain people that are just very like, we gotta record this demo. We can't tell anybody anything until the demo's recorded. We have all this stuff to go out and pass out or give out or sell or whatever the deal is. And it was just, we had all these songs and all this stuff, and we were just sitting on it for so long. And then, finally decided to go record like a half-assed demo. which we put out, and then it was probably almost even a year later after that before we actually put the CD out.
Yeah, that's the way I do it too. I like to have everything ready to go, like when the band is announced. You know what I mean? I like to start the band, find the people, rehearse, write the EP, record the EP, then release it and announce the band.
Right.
Which is dangerous because a lot of times the band will end before you get that far.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's part of my thing is like, if I get this out faster, then like they can't like run away from it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can lock them right in.
Yeah. I think I'm going to do that approach next time because my mindset is like, oh, everything has to be absolutely perfect, but if you're waiting for everything to be perfect, you're going to be waiting forever, and that's going to be
forever. It's never perfect.
I became aware of you guys like right after I started going to shows in the Bucks County area. I was friends with the This Day Forward guys, and I remember you and Blueskiesfade on some of those earliest shows. And yeah, just when I think of early hardcore shows, I always think of you guys playing that first song on the CD and just everybody right up front singing along.
Oh, nuts, right.
Yeah, it was just like...
That was the most coolest part about the whole thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's got to be awesome. Like, you're playing that song, you've got like 5 to 10 people right up front.
Yeah.
Like, singing along with every word.
And it was cool, too, especially when you go to Syracuse and it happened, or you go down...
Oh, really?
Yeah, or down to Virginia or something. It was weird how it spread. There was only like 1,000 albums or something, or, 1,000 CDs that we made. And then there was a couple stupid little re-releases after that, but it seemed like it spread, pretty far considering.
How much playing out did you guys do? Did you do any tours, or were you just playing primarily in the Northeast?
Yeah, we never did, any too many multiple dates in a road tour type stuff, but we would go do, a couple shows, East Syracuse, but like, up Syracuse or whatever, but we basically stayed mostly local.
Yeah. Was there ever any plan to like, I don't know, really try to do this thing and take it nationally or anything like that?
I think that was eventually was in everybody's, interest or whatever that to do that. Unfortunately, it's just not the right group of dudes to do it.
Yeah.
To be honest, I mean,
Well, I'm going to ask those types of questions, but not just yet.
Oh, sure.
So I want to go back a little bit first. Now, one of the best times I ever saw you was, it was that St. Ephraim's gig. There was like 15 bands on it. I think Meadows put on that show.
Yeah.
And I don't know, had you played that song, The Passion of Silence, before, or were you like just debuting it?
It had to be close to the debut, something like that.
Okay. Because I remember there was a ton of people at that show, just a ton of people, and you guys started playing that song for the first time, and I was on stage recording it, and I'm still very upset that I lost all those tapes because I had the perfect fucking angle.
Right.
It just looked great. It sounded great, but hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And the place just exploded. Like, especially when you go into that first breakdown, like about a minute 30 in.
Right.
Oh, man, it was just like unbelievable. Like, I'm so glad a video of that song exists at that show because it's just such like a...
Oh, yeah, there's one behind the drums, I believe, right?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, no, that was definitely a cool song. It was weird at the end of the band. It was weird, like nobody in the band at that time was like very, I guess, good at writing songs or and it wasn't everybody. I mean, Jay the drummer was still playing drums, but everybody else came and gone. But I know we did that song and a song called Moist, and then. It was recorded with the old singer Dave, and I believe it's on our website with him on it. But it's not the same.
It's not. Because I was shocked. Like, the website is still up. You mentioned on our Instagram page that the site is up and that the song was recorded, but it doesn't sound anything like that video.
No.
like at all.
No, like
No,
that breakdown is definitely not as prominent.
No. And it's funny, in that video, you can see like a bunch of us as like 16-year-olds just, like, oh my God. And like looking behind them to make sure that the mosh pit isn't going to take them out. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, Colin, I think Anthony Green, everybody was there. Everybody.
Oh, yeah, Gary. Yeah, you can see everybody.
Standing right there.
What were some of your influences? It's like, to me, it's like classic 90s, like New Day Rising, like that really moshy metal type stuff. What kind of stuff were you guys inspired by?
Honestly, Blueskiesfade, the whole like emotional screamo thing, came from you and I. Not me and you, but the band.
Yeah, the band. Yeah.
I saw them in New Brunswick somewhere in somebody's basement, and was just like completely blown away. Whether their emotions real or fake or whatever, they put on a hell of a show, and so we were trying to incorporate that kind of a thing into it. You know what I mean? Real or fake.
Yeah, no, you and I made a big splash. They were highly influential. The live shows were always spot on. I remember everybody was just always raving about them. I wonder why they broke up.
I have no idea.
Tommy, we got to get them on here and find out why.
I think, Tom still makes music, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I ran into Tom, I don't know now. It's been 10 years easy. But I was sitting at a bar in up there in New Brunswick somewhere. And he was sitting at the bar next to me. And I was like, man, really? I used to talk to you on AOL. And he looks exactly the same.
The one guitar player used to wear, he had like big, like black rim, like horn rim glasses. And he used to wear those things that you put on the sides of the glasses to make, like people used to wear them so your like glasses wouldn't fall off. But they were super obnoxious, like turquoise with like these big, like ugly designs on them. And I remember like seeing him walking around being like, the fuck is he wearing them? And then I saw them play and I'm like, that's why he wears them.
Wow,
like,
he's super emo.
Thrashing around the whole time. His fucking glasses never even budged.
But that band definitely always put on an awesome show. Every time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I had their last show, some of it taped as well, but the tapes are gone. I will continue to lament them on this show. Now, Blueskiesfade was also one of the bands who played that legendary gig at my parents' house.
Oh yeah, I'll never forget it.
Yeah, that was awesome because I can say that Torn Apart and The Assistant and Blueskiesfade played in my parents' house. I mean, come on, that's cool. Right. I think that was a Pat McCormick show, and the venue got shut down or wasn't available at the last minute. So I was like, let me see if we can have it at my parents' house. And I guess, they're pretty cool. So they were like, sure.
I remember the Torn Apart thing. They used to ask us all the time, if they were going to like New York or somewhere, they'd be like, is there a show in Philly somewhere we could hit? And I think that was one of those the show at your house was one of those times.
Yeah.
But no, it was definitely awesome. Although I think your mom's CDs got stolen or something, I remember.
Now, that I wanted to ask you about, because I would have remembered if it was my CDs. Because, like, at that age, hardcore CDs to me were like everything.
Yeah.
Like, it was a big deal to me, like, to have a lot of them and for everyone to know how many I had. I don't know, it was like a status symbol thing to me. It was weird. But, so they stole my mom's CDs.
Yeah, I think I remember, like, because I remember, I really don't know, but I remember you saying something to me like at another show later or whatever, like my mom's Melissa Etheridge CD disappeared or whatever it was, but it was like apparently a bunch of stuff.
Like of all the things to steal.
Yeah, and I have a feeling the chick that was with Torn Apart stole them. Was my feeling.
Well, I know it was the singer's girlfriend, right? That's what we're alleging here.
Yeah.
All right. What's that guy's name?
Brett. Actually ran into him walking down the street in Philly about a year ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Does he live in Philly or still in Baltimore?
I don't know. I think he's in Baltimore. He was tattooing at that Bach High School thing in South Philly. There's a tattoo spot in there somewhere. I don't know if it was a guest appearance or if he lives up here or what.
Do we know the girl's name?
No idea.
Heath, are you really going? You gonna try and track this lady down?
You should.
Oh, absolutely.
Where's my fucking CDs?
Those are my mother's CD. All right, Brett, if you hear this, I am asking for restitution.
Yeah.
This is your girl. This is your girlfriend.
Did you marry this girl? That's the first question.
We don't know her name, so we need Brett to handle this situation, and we will politely ask for restitution for my dear mother and her Melissa Etheridge CD.
Yes.
Yes, it's only fair.
And that was it. It was just one CD that was missing.
No, I think it was a bunch of them, but it wasn't like Keith's CD collection. It was it was like stuff in the living room radio cabinet thing.
Oh man, they still have that same cabinet there too.
Oh right.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever I go visit their house and we're like sitting in the back, I'm like, oh, torn apart plate here. And what happened? Didn't you guys get like crash into someone's car with the bus?
Never crashed. It broke down a lot. A lot.
But was there? I seem to remember some incident on my parents' street with the bus.
Oh, is that like somebody's side view mirror or something like that?
Yeah, I remember something happened.
Possible. It's very possible.
Oh, so maybe they like took a mirror off, but just got the hell out of there. That bus is like legendary. Wasn't it like a giant blue or like mini school bus or something?
It was a full-size yellow school bus when we got it. We took all the seats out, put a couch and a love seat, refrigerator, TV, bunk beds, the whole 9 yards in it, and we painted it black with blue hot rod flames. It was awesome. It got about 3 miles to the gallon.
How long did you guys have that thing?
Oh God, I don't know, 2 years maybe, something like that. It was pretty terrible thing to drive. Driving to Syracuse, I don't know what the regular drive is, 5-6 hours or something. That would take all day. You'd start you go up the Northeast Extension, you start hitting those hills, and you're doing 13 miles an hour by the time you get to the top. And then you start going down, you're doing 100 miles an hour, and then it's slow again once you get back up to the next one. It was horrible.
Did you play with like any of the legendary bands of our time? Like, what were some of the gigs you guys were playing, and where?
I guess Syracuse is probably about as far north. We were supposed to play in Buffalo one time, and we broke down before we left where where we were parked. So we never made it. But yeah, we played the show in Syracuse. Like Torn Apart and Sky Came Falling, and actually Slasher Steve just sent me the flyer. I think Sky Came Falling posted it or something.
Oh, nice.
All the way down into I guess Virginia, I guess it was, something like that. We played with Zayo down there and a whole bunch of stuff in between in the city and whatnot.
I don't know when exactly, but it seemed like you guys were around all the time, and then you just weren't. Yep. So like, what happened?
We broke up. That was it.
Oh, so that was it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What happened?
I know Mike and Mark. They've been good friends for a million years. Mike was the second Mike bass player, and Mark, was playing guitar. And I think everybody just kind of wanted, for one, everybody wanted something but didn't want to work for it. And then two, there was nothing being written. Everybody was sick of playing shows local, and they wanted to do all this stuff. But again, nobody wanted to put any effort into it. Mm-hmm. And so I guess those dudes were just like, yeah, I'm done with this. I don't feel like doing it anymore. And after, I don't remember how many members total, like 20-some, me and Jay were pretty much the only ones left at that point. And I looked at him like, what do you want to do, dude? He's like, I'm done. And I was like, well, then I guess I'm done because I'm not going to find a drummer.
Wasn't there this version of Passion of Silence that was recorded with just the other singer, right?
Yeah, because I believe I was in North Carolina or something when they did that. I think it was right around when they did that reunion show thing at Ashland Church.
And when was that?
2002-ish? It wasn't that long after we broke up.
I was going to say, it's not that long from when you guys actually broke up.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. That's why me and Jay didn't want to do it, because we thought it was kind of dumb. at that point. You know what I mean?
It's like too soon.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, exactly. It's like the last Slayer tour that's been going on for 10 years.
So they had did they ask you to be a part of the reunion show, or did they just do it and you didn't want to?
No, Jay the drummer didn't want to.
Yeah.
And I moved to North Carolina and was like, yeah, maybe I'll come back. And it came down to coming back, and I was like, yeah, I don't feel like doing this.
Yeah.
Drive 10 hours to play a show. Like, at that time, like, I was done with all of it.
Yeah.
It seemed very difficult to be able to, make any sort of, still is, make any sort of living off of it. And it was kind of frustrating putting, like, years of work into something and having everybody just be like, fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just kind of was like, that's it, done. And stop going to shows, everything.
So did you keep up with at least listening to any of the music, or were you just done?
No, I mean, literally, I was like, literally just shut it off. I didn't know A Life Once Lost was as big as they were. I didn't know This Day Forward went as far as they went. It was like years later, and I saw Bob posted a picture of them in a van or something in Moscow, and I was like, get the fuck, like, what are you talking about? And then I ran into him somewhere, and he was telling me stuff. I was like, holy shit, like, I didn't know that, dude. Like, I was just like, forget it, I'm out of here. I'm going to live down in the dirty South with a bunch of weirdos. And
now, why did you decide to move to North Carolina? What'd you do down there?
Honestly, I don't nothing. I moved to Wilmington. It's a college town. Unless you're a bartender, a waiter, a waitress, or something like that, there's really nothing, going on. It's just like 10 million college kids. So it was like, I was there for 3-4 months, maybe. I forget, something like that. And it was just like, nothing was working out, Yeah. I worked for an electrician, and of course I was wearing a sweatshirt until it was like 80-some degrees one day. We were wiring a Blueberry warehouse. It's a big, like, 1 million square foot refrigerated building, and but the refrigeration wasn't on. Anyway, I went. It was hot as hell in there, and I took the sweatshirt off. They saw my tattoos, and it was like a record scratched. Like, the whole company was just like staring at me. Because this was like some backwoods, like 45 minutes outside in the middle of nowhere, electrician, like super Baptist, super like Bible Belt people. It was like, they were like, oh my God, who did we just hire? But yeah, it wasn't my scene there at all.
How long were you in North Carolina?
I was to say, like, I think it was about 3-4 months, something like that. And then from there, it was like, by then I was out of everything, no money, no nothing. My parents had moved from Jersey down to Texas, so I was like, well, I guess I'm going down there. So I went down to Houston for a couple of years.
So how was it down there?
Hated it.
What did you do?
Humid, just like it is now here in the summer, but just longer.
Yeah.
For the first year or something like that, I built swimming pools, actually. And I was the only person that spoke English, and I didn't know Spanish. And it was just like the most difficult thing on earth to try to, just do charades basically all day, trying to communicate with everybody that was working down there,
Yeah.
Not to mention, in the summer, it's like 97 degrees at 8 o'clock in the morning with 100% humidity. Yeah, it's like the worst.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I bartended down there for a while, and just again, not from there, just kind of uncomfortable,
Yeah.
So
Did you live with your parents?
Yeah, a little bit, and I lived with a buddy of mine. He had a guest house behind his house, and I kind of rented that off of him for a while.
So how did you end up back in the Northeast?
I literally I had it. I was like, I'm done with Texas. Pretty much everybody I came in contact with was in some sort of bad way or whatever, and it was just like just like a bad scene.
Bad how? Like, was it like, I don't know, crime, drugs?
Well, yeah,
like...
it was drugs mostly, and not even like woohoo. I was having fun doing drugs. It was like I bartended at a bar that sold like huge amounts of God knows coke, everything out of it. There was all kinds of crazy stuff that was going on. They were using like my vehicles to stash it in.
Oh, no.
And then telling me about it, and then telling me like they're gonna call the cops if I don't. It got really weird down there.
Holy shit!
Yeah, to say the least. And like I said, it was like all these people I met. This is when I originally went there. I was a bartender. And all these people I originally met were all from the bar, and they were all into the long story short, the one guy quit and everybody disappeared. Hundreds of people on a Thursday night went to zero, like
wow,
instantly. So yeah, it was just like, it was weird, and I'm one of those people that are just like happy-go-lucky, I guess, whatever, and they were just using that kind of stuff to their advantage. Like the people that lived behind me, apparently I was driving home with it, and they were coming out and getting it out of my car, and
you didn't even know?
Well, I didn't know until they literally were telling me, like, this stuff's getting transported in your car, but you're not going to stop and you're not going to look, because if you do, we're just going to call the cops and have you arrested.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was like I was sucked into... And then the whole thing got weird because it started dawning on me, like, nobody there really knew what the hell they were doing. They weren't, they weren't like bartenders for 20 years. They were like... Yeah. They were like rookie. Everybody was a rookie. I didn't know how to make drinks. It was like, I don't know how to make that. We don't have it.
Yeah.
Here's a beer. Yeah. And it was like the whole thing was so weird.
How were you involved in like anything going on, or were you just kind of like swept up in it and you're like, all right?
Yeah, no, I was like the stupid guy that like cracked jokes and did dumb stuff behind the bar. They kept people laughing, but yeah, towards the end when I was just like, I'm getting tired of this life. It like that whole thing started getting really weird. Like I said, and I don't know if it was true, or if it wasn't true, if they were trying to scare me, or they were trying to get me to quit. I have no idea. The whole thing was really bizarre.
Did you ever find like a big stash of drugs? Now that would have been my dream prior to 2017.
Well, yeah, no, like I was like, man. So, after they told me that, that night I went home and I sat in the house with the lights off and just watched my truck. It was parked at the end of the driveway, and sure enough, the neighbor walked over towards it. I couldn't see exactly what he was doing because it was dark. And then walked back into his house. So then I remember.
Did that scare the shit out of you?
Well, I was pissed, and I go from like 0 to like 1 million. You know what I mean? And I remember the next day like losing my shit on the guy, and of course he was denying it and all this stuff. And I'm like, why? Like it's 3 o'clock in the morning, dude. I get home from work and you walk out over by my truck somewhere. It was just like the whole thing was really bizarre. But
oh my god.
Yeah, so anyway, I didn't like it down there very much.
What was the weirdest thing you saw go down?
In Texas?
Yeah.
At the bar there was a dude that would come in with like 10 strippers and a couple of his buddies. I'm shit you not. He would walk in the door, throw $200 on the bar, and he'd want you to open a bottle of Jack right in front of him and make him a Jack and I can't remember, Jack and ginger ale, Jack and Coke, whatever. Mm-hmm. He'd drink the drink and he'd walk out. Whatever was left, the 200 was mine, basically, right? And apparently he was like the kingpin, and that was like some sort of payoff that of whatever was going on. Like that was like his like you didn't see me here kind of kind
hush
of
money.
Thing. So that was weird. But he always showed up with all these strippers in like a limo, like a. Yeah, I guess a limo, but it was like a stretched Suburban or whatever, and it'd have like all these people in there.
I show up in a stretched Suburban with 10 strippers and throw $200 on the bar, but no one saw me. You didn't see me.
Nobody saw me, and
makes sense.
Yeah, the whole thing was so bizarro.
What year was this all going down? When did you get out of there?
I left Texas, I guess 2003-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
And just came back here to Jersey.
So how did you get set up? Like, where did you live?
I actually went to live with the drummer of Blueskiesfade and his mom.
Oh, wow.
For a while. Then she kicked me. She found my stash, actually, and kicked me out. Now,
what was it a stash of?
It was parsley, I think it was. I don't even know why she was freaking out. Was it oregano? I don't know.
So she doesn't get down like that?
No, well, that was the weird thing. Like, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
She found God or something, and next thing you know, something was bad, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, they threw me out. I was forced to go get an apartment.
Did you keep up with, like, shows or music or anything like that
not
during
at
this
all.
whole time?
Nope.
What did you listen to? Anything?
If it was like something on the radio, I mean, I was always in ISIS, Neurosis, things like that. I would always, pop on. But as far as anything new, like, I don't even think I didn't even know about all, like, the albums after, like, Oceanic Propicon or Propticon, whatever the hell that's called.
Panopticon.
Yes.
Yeah. That's like, I think that's my favorite one.
Yeah. Like all those laters, I never didn't even know they existed. But I was just like so far out of the loop, there was no way of knowing. But yeah, not until a couple of years ago I started fucking around with music and stuff again.
So what inspired you to do that?
Probably just getting old or midlife crisis, or I honestly not really sure, to be honest with you. I started going to shows and stuff again, and I think maybe that's just what it was. It re-sparked the interest.
What was your first show back?
Honestly, it was Mastodon and Death Clock. I think it was at the Electric Factory.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine was going. Was like, dude, I'm going to go check it. I didn't even know who either or more. And that was like the first one back. And then he started dragging me to shows. I remember actually that's where I first saw Bob again. Was at the church on Chestnut Street.
First Unitarian.
Yeah, thank you. It was I Hate God and High on Fire, I believe. And I was walking up to the show, and there was Bob standing on the sidewalk. I was like, well, I haven't seen you in a while.
What was it like seeing him again after all that time?
It was weird. He looked no different. He still had the same haircut.
Yeah.
And, he looked exactly like the same guy. No, it was cool. Yeah. He's always been, a great dude, man. Of course, you guys know. You're friends with him. But.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's been on this show, too, as well.
Yeah.
Well, so, I mean, when you were going to shows, were you, like, seeing people other than Bob you haven't seen in a while? Did you recognize a lot of people?
Oh, yeah. Like, always running into, like, say, Chris Striegel and I call her Drop V, Vicky Weiss. I see her all the time. We both have, like, the same bands, I guess, in rotation or whatever. A whole bunch of people every now and then I'll run into.
So have you been back in Jersey ever since that move back from Texas?
No, I went from, let's see here. I was all over the place, from Jersey to Pennsylvania to Delaware, then to Philadelphia for about 10 years, and then over to back where I'm at now. About 3 years ago, I guess.
I'm surprised I never ran into you, because I was in Philly up until 2012, and did you go to a lot of seedy dive bars and run with questionable crowds? And
oh, yeah. Well, Tattoo Moms was a staple. Like, we were there every other night until we had kids. Yeah. And then, all those places, the Pope and... what's that one, the Dive or whatever on Passyunk up towards Christian.
Yeah, I was there all the time.
Yeah. I'm sure we were probably in the same spot and bumped into each other and didn't say nothing, didn't realize anything.
Did you ever see a weird guy sitting alone or just like talking to people really fast and jittery? That was me.
That was you?
Yeah. I moved up to New York city in 2012 for my job, so I've been here ever since.
Is it worth it?
Yes.
It is?
It's a pain in the ass, but I've done a lot of cool stuff up here, a couple bands.
Yeah.
I was in a play. I met my girlfriend who I'm moving in with. I've never lived with a partner before.
Oh yeah, I totally binge your show all day today and listened to all that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Which ones?
I think it was maybe the last 3 or 4 or something like that.
We've had a good run of shows. The conversations have taken unexpected turns. I like really getting into the shit with people.
Oh yeah. No, you have to, really. You should. Get into the shit with me. I'm happy to tell you whatever.
What's the biggest struggle you've had to overcome in your life? Now, for me, I was on my way to dying, I would say. But just struggling with alcohol and drugs and just the lifestyle I was living. It started slow and progressed really, really badly up until about 2016. And then I tried getting my shit together, and then I fell back for a couple months, and then I finally did get my shit together around mid 2017. So I think that's the most significant challenge I've overcome.
Keith, what year was the first when you first stopped? What was that before you had that 2-month period?
The end of November 2016.
Okay.
I went away for a week, and then I got out, and then that March, I picked up again, and shit got really out of control for like 3 months. I think I remember texting you. I'll never forget something you said, Tommy. You were like, I didn't know if you were alive or dead. So I would check Instagram, and I would see that you liked something, and so I knew you were still alive.
Yeah. No, because it got real bad there for a while. Because you would go, like you said, you would go on these, tears for a while.
Yeah.
And, and disappear. But even when you were, around, it wasn't uncommon for you to be, held up in your room watching The Wire or, playing video games for a while. So it wasn't unheard of, but when I didn't hear from you for a month at a time, it was like, fuck, dude, is he all right?
What was it? Do you remember talking to me during that last 3-month period? I remember we talked pretty regularly, but could you tell something was up?
No, because most of our conversations were texting.
Yeah.
So it was, your grammar is always spot on.
How?
Yeah.
But I couldn't tell. But that's the thing is there was the only time. Remember, I've said this to you before, but even being out with you a couple times where I guess I'm not good at picking up on those signs.
Yeah.
And Doug would say something like, "Yo, is he all right?" I'm like, he seems fine to me. Keep in mind, I was, I had 20 drinks at that point, so everybody seemed fine.
Trying to keep my composure was always the ultimate goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maintain.
Yeah, it was all about appearances. Ugh. So, Ian, what has been your biggest struggle in recent times?
Recent years was probably, I had a business in Philly that was, I had a partnership, and I guess my partner realized it was kind of a rough game, basically construction, especially in the city. He bailed on it, and I thought I could keep it going, and it just couldn't keep it going. It cost way too much money. But I had two office people and 10 guys in the field, and it's actually how I came to realize I had anxiety issues and all this other stuff, because it basically my doctor said it created so much stress. It was almost like a post-traumatic stress thing, that all of a sudden my fuse was so short that I couldn't handle anything. You know what I mean? Because I had 10 guys fucking up everything they touched. I had $40,000 to $50,000 in bills a month to keep everything going, and I'm just running around like a nut with people pissed off at me, because nothing ever goes right, Which by myself I never had issues like that because I could somewhat control myself. and dudes in construction, you're kind of dealing with a bunch of schlups kind of thing,
Yeah, they're usually pretty
unfortunately.
wild dudes.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that I remember when I worked at when I lived at the apartments in Ben Salem. They redid all the roofs on the on the apartment that we lived in, and it was like the building from aerial was like a big L shape. And I remember I was walking around the corner the one morning, and it was early. Like I was going out to my car, and it was all the guys getting ready like to go up on the roof. And the first thing they pulled up was a cooler full of beer.
Yeah.
I was like, holy
Especially
shit.
on a roof. Nobody could see that.
Yeah, I thought it was the fucking craziest thing in the world. Because in my head, I'm going like, dude, you're fucking... Because it wasn't a huge apartment building. It was only two floors. So there was an upstairs and a downstairs. But, like, that's still a 20-foot fall. Like, that's not fucking... You're not fucking walking away from that. But in my head, I'm like... Well, shit, if it's hot up there and you're just boozing all day, like,
right.
You're probably sweating the
Plus
vast
the fact
majority
those
of it
guys
out.
probably can't operate without it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, I know guys that I've worked with that if they don't have a couple beers at lunch, forget it. Like,
you get the shakes, right?
Yeah. And they're worthless because they're just like, I need beer.
Wow. That happened to me once. Like I was so hungover that I was like, I have to go drink at lunch.
Well, that's hair of
like-
the dog. That's different.
Yeah, but it was like the only time where I felt like I had to. It was because I was like in such bad shape, and then I was like, oh man, this isn't good.
Yeah, and you wonder why people drink all day because like you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just recovering from the night before.
Yeah,
This is
you
it,
have to.
Yeah.
I always thought that looked appealing. Like season 2 of The Wire, like they all go to the bar before going to the port, and they're they're like cracking eggs into beers and drinking it. I was like, that's gross, but it seems fun. So, what happened to the company? Is it dissolved now?
Yeah, I had to. I was all of a sudden looked up kind of a thing, and it was like 140 grand in the hole.
Oh
I was
man.
like, whoa. Shut it down, shut everybody down, get rid of everything.
Are you still paying that off?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah, that'll be for a long time.
Yeah.
But
Is there any like weird mob shit like in the movies with construction? Like, did you ever show up to a job and there's like 2 guys in suits there, like, you can go home now?
no, I never had that. Never found any bottles in the wall or anything like that. No.
You know, I hear you on that, Ian, because my job now, I used to be with a different department, and it was just really hard. Like, the pressure and my boss's management style was not my favorite, and I would just get told that everything is bad right away, or that, I don't know, it was just a lot of, and the travel was constant, and it was just a very tense situation that had me on edge all the time and gave me a short fuse, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And I actually started looking for new jobs at one point, but then they moved me to a different department that I'm really happy with now, and it's all good.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I found the answer without even really doing anything, and that's always the best situation.
Well, that's cool.
So what are you doing now?
Same thing. I'm just by myself. I'm a one-man show.
So how do you find gigs?
I pretty much, I do. I only work for one company, JG Real Estate out of Fishtown.
Okay.
And they, they just keep feeding me work, basically.
And
Yeah.
it's like rehab stuff. Like you're just like
It's rehabs. I'm almost done I guess it's a duplex. Redoing the whole thing, both apartments, inside, outside, the whole thing. And I do a lot of maintenance and stuff for them.
Yeah, I saw you on Instagram. You were up on some scaffolding, standing on painter's buckets or something. What are you doing? It's dangerous.
I put a giant window in the back it's actually their office.
Yeah.
Put a big, I think it was 4 foot high by 10 feet wide or something like that.
So what are you up to now? What's your family life like?
That's it. It's family life, I guess. I got 2 crazy ass kids and my wife that somehow deals with us all.
Yeah. How long have you been married?
It's 2010, 9 years. Yeah, this is going to be the 10th coming up.
Nice. How is it? Because I'm in my first healthy relationship, I would say ever.
I've
right
heard.
now.
That's what I was hearing today.
Yeah, and I'm moving in with her in 2 months. Now, I've never lived with a partner ever.
Right.
What am I getting myself into? Give me some tips on how to survive.
There is no tips. All right, first thing you got to do is set the bar really low.
Okay.
Because if you go in there like Superman,
Yeah.
you're always going to be expected to be Superman.
Ah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So go just, I'm not saying be a dick,
Yeah.
but just
Don't do too much.
Leave some wiggle room, that's all.
Yeah, I do that because I actually had this this conversation with Romy the other day. I asked her, is it possible for people to be cold-blooded like reptiles are? Because she will reorganize the whole house, move boxes upstairs, downstairs. I can't do a whole lot without getting really tired. So I'll do like key tasks and I'll spread them out over a time that works for me.
Right.
So my theory was that I'm cold-blooded and I need to preserve my energy, much like a reptile or
Correct.
a snake of some sort.
Right.
What do you think of that?
I think you're going to be in trouble, bud.
Keith, this is what I did when Kelly and I first started living together. Pick the chores in the house that take it seems like it's a lot of work, but it actually isn't. So the one thing for me, I always do the laundry at the house. But the laundry is throw the thing in the fucking laundry, like in the washer, and press the button. Oh, and don't forget to put detergent in. That's it. And then walk away for an hour. Like it's fucking awesome. Like, because like, oh, what are you doing? I did all the laundry today. It's like, well, yeah, the laundry really, if you know, like the only thing that does suck is like my girls and like the babies' clothes, because like a load of babies' clothes is like fucking 70 outfits, like, because it's fucking tiny little shit. So it takes fucking forever. But my wife has made a big point of like, she likes to organize the baby's clothes because she's growing so fast. She's like, I'll organize her clothes. So if you just get them out of the dryer, just put them upstairs in her room. The other one I picked is the dishwasher. The dishwasher is easy. It's fast. And I can listen to or watch something while I'm doing it. So it's really like kind of like mindless task. And it's like, it gets done every with the house with 5 people in it, dishwasher gets run every single day.
Have you ever listened to us while you were emptying the dishwasher?
No, I don't. No, I don't. I listen to us when I'm doing like non-thinking work for like work. So if I'm like doing we have new lesson plans, I have to like basically take all the old stuff and just kind of copy and pasted it. So it's like mindless kind of shit. So like I listened to it today while I was copying and pasting a bunch of shit.
So you
like,
guys actually do re-listening to your episodes? Like,
I used to.
If I write a shitty song, I've listened to it 12,000 times until it's not even like, I don't know if it's good or bad or what anymore, because it's just pounded into my head. But
I used to, but I don't anymore, because I'm gonna let my fellow podcasters in on a little secret, and I have Mike Shaw to thank for this. The secret is in the editing, and to edit an episode to make it sound perfect takes up to 7 hours sometimes.
Oh, I could imagine.
So by the time I'm done, I don't want to fucking hear myself or anybody else anymore. So I edit it. It's done. We have a friend who mixes it for us, and that's it. Done. But here, listen to this. Here's how vain I am. The last week's episode it was me and Tommy, like for the first half. So I listened to that because I wanted to hear myself.
There you go.
I go back to I've actually listened to it probably at least twice now. The last like 40 minutes of the Brad Truax from Interpol.
Yeah,
because it got real deep, real fast, and it got cool. It was a very cool episode. I remember leaving, like signing off that night, walking upstairs, and Kelly was like, "How was the podcast?" And I was like, "Fucking awesome."
Yeah,
it went really fucking well. And it took this very strange turn out of completely like literally out of nowhere, and we had this fucking awesome conversation. It was really cool.
That was a good one, yeah. So yes. So back to chores. Now I have chores that I do. I feed the cats because I love them. I love doing that, right? I do the dishes. I think I'm going to take over cleaning the cat box.
Oh, God, don't do that.
Because it's also cat related.
Okay. You really like the cats.
Yeah, I like them a lot. I didn't realize I was such a cat person, but these cats are wonderful. I bother them all day long. Like they're like napping, and I just go over and I keep petting them. They're probably like, dude, chill.
We have when we lived in South Philly, we had 5 cats, 5 dogs.
What?
And yeah, my wife likes to rescue the animals.
Wow.
And it was like all 5 cats were assholes except one. Of course, that was the one that died. Or first, and we've been through a million animals since then, but now we're on 3 dogs, 2 cats now, 2 kids.
Okay, that's more manageable.
Yeah. Well, yeah. My wife has it down to a regiment, though. She's got them pretty good.
That's good. Yeah, I like the routine. My girlfriend does not like it. Like, I'm all about routine. She calls me quadriculado, which means graph paper, because I'm very like, all right, this is what we're going to do. From 2 to 3, we're doing this. 4 to 6, we're doing this. 8 to 10, we're doing this. She likes more spontaneity, but I hate it. But listen, we've got a routine. It's working out. I think it's going to be fine.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, plus I've never lived in Manhattan. I've always been in Brooklyn, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, should be, definitely.
Yeah, I can say I lived in Manhattan.
Yeah, I actually, my mom was asking about you, and she's like, how's Keith doing? I was like, he's moving to Manhattan. She's like, oh my. She's like, I guess his job is going well. I'm like, well, yeah, but I think it's more he's moving in with his girlfriend. She was like, oh. Yeah, that's really good. They must be doing really well. Because in my mom's head, like, everybody that lives in Manhattan is like, you're like rich.
Not even close.
Well, that's the idea I have on it. That Manhattan is insane expensive.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, you give up every cent to live there.
Yeah,
and that's. Yeah, it sucks because I'm like, I could probably buy a house in Philly or something. But, I don't know. It's nice to, walk out the door and the corner store is right there, the laundromat's right there, grocery store's directly next door. I walk 1 block for anything.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I miss that about being in Philly.
I was going to ask you this. So, living in Manhattan now, do you guys have a washer dryer? Or do you have to have, you do a laundry service?
We have to take it out. There is no washer dryer. I'm sorry. There is a washer dryer, but the fucking guy downstairs won't let us use it.
Why? Wait, how does he have control of it?
Well, she used to have the whole building. There's an apartment upstairs and an apartment downstairs, and then they ended up losing the downstairs. So this guy lives there. And she texted him like, hey, can we use the washer dryer? And he just never responded. But then he'll text and ask her for favors. And she does them. And I'm like, listen, he's not going to let us. Yeah, he's not going to let us use the washer dryer. We shouldn't be doing him any favors. But she doesn't want to start a war with him because it's just going to make things more difficult. And ultimately, I think she's right about that.
Yeah, because home should be a quiet place. You don't want to have to walk into that and be like, I got a fucking asshole downstairs, and you're constantly just thinking about it.
Exactly. Yeah. So now let's talk about some more Blueskiesfade stuff.
Okay.
Now in the Northeast scene's very own comments section, I remember someone asking about a potential reunion, and Ian, you said that it would never happen unless it was with brand new people. So is that still the case?
Yeah, no. Well, so we're actually redoing some of the songs because technology is awesome, and you can have a studio in your house pretty cheap nowadays.
Yeah.
but so yeah, we've been working on redoing some of the old songs, and it's actually Brian and Mike Lewis, who were the guitar and bass players on the original CD. And we've been, sending the files back and forth and stuff. There's some of it's being mixed right now. The problem is, last time I sent it to the dude that's mixing it, and it basically showed up in a big pile of parts.
Yeah.
It was all jarbled and messed up. And we've actually tried it a bunch of times, and it keeps doing the same thing, and we're not really sure why. So It might be a little while before anybody ever hears any of that. But no, the three of us have all said if something pops up that's worth playing, we'd try to give it a whirl. And maybe we'd have to find a drummer, because Jay doesn't want to do it. And but yeah, no, it's possible for sure.
So what changed? Why? It seemed like before no one was into it, and now we've got 3 of the original members, right?
Yeah, well, it was weird actually. I was gonna do, because I'd always do them stupid acoustic things, or covers from the Crapper. Anyway, I asked Brian. I was like, dude, let's just do like the Blueskiesfade song. Like, let's do an acoustic or something. He's like, all right, yeah. And I was like, what do how are we gonna do it? You just gonna send me a video? He's like, I'll do it in GarageBand or Logic. I was like, I didn't know you had that. I was like, I have Logic. That's awesome. Send it to me, So, long story short, he pulled out like this bag of, his old guitar, all his junk, his microphones out of the attic that's been sitting in there for years, and blew the dust off of it. Then spent a bunch of money rebuilding computers and all this other stuff so it's fast enough to run, the programs now. And Jay, like I said, he didn't want to get involved with it, playing drums. So I tried to clone them as best as I could, programming them. And it's eventually going to happen.
So just the Blueskiesfade song, or are we thinking more?
Oh no, we're planning on doing the whole CD, maybe even writing some new stuff. It really depends. Brian, Mike, the bass player, lives 5 minutes from me in Mount Laurel, but Brian lives down in Atlanta, so it would be everything's kind of difficult, I guess, but
especially now with COVID and just the unsure of anything month to month or even week to week now.
Yeah, it's been kind of ridiculous, really. But, virtual bands is probably going to be the only thing that's happening for a long time. So I think that was kind of our plan with it. Maybe try to do some videos or something. But it's really just having fun.
Maybe Passion of Silence 2000 or 20 Passion of Silence 2020.
I would love to redo that for sure. And they both said that they would play it. They didn't have anything to do with writing it. But what's the rest of the guys being pissed off a little bit more that we did another song.
Yeah. So no 2 singers anymore? I guess some of the other members are not into it anymore?
No, actually there was quite a discrepancy a few weeks ago, or quite a kind of a blowout. Because we weren't really, Brian, Mike, and myself weren't really inviting everybody to redo it, Like I said, Jay didn't want to do it, and I was like, well, what are we going to ask a bunch of people that either quit or got kicked out or whatever like, let's just, just keep it to ourselves, keep it easier. Plus the fact, how are they going to record? They're going to have to come to my house or come somebody's house, and it's right now. How do you do that? You can't, you shouldn't, I guess. So, then they took it as we were just using the Blueskiesfade name, blah blah blah, which is basically something we built. So I don't see what the big problem is, but it turned into a little bit of a blowout. And then, of course, when I lose my shit, and that ended the whole conversation. But people don't like hear the truth, I guess.
Yeah. So is it original members that are upset they're not involved, or is it just people who were in the band at one point?
Yeah, it was people in the band at one. Well, it was two original members. I don't know if the one what the hell with him. Sean. Yeah, Sean's off in like the Appalachian Trail in like North Carolina mountain somewhere, and he reappears once every like 2 years. So it's like how is he supposed to do it? And then the other singer, I just wasn't really into being involved with that. So and he was kind of the man or the one I got like pissed off about it, and was just like, this is why I didn't ask you, and take it however it is. And I'm sure I came off like an asshole, but
well, with these situations, there's always going to be hurt feelings to some degree. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and I'm very much, it's easier to just ask for forgiveness than to ask permission. Yeah. And I was just going to kind of, it is, period. It doesn't matter what the hell you're doing. It's easier just to do what the hell you have to do and then deal with the consequences. Because if you ask, there's a chance of them telling you no. And then what? You know what I mean? At least it's already done.
But you guys wrote the songs, right?
Oh yeah. I don't know, other than it was just like, why didn't you include me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what, the thing was over. It's like, you quit because you don't want to do it anymore. Now you're mad about it. Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it is what it is, though.
Right. Well, I'm looking forward to hearing some updated stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, same song. Just the quality now with the digital stuff is awesome compared to what we paid out our asses for in 1997 or 8 or whatever year it was.
I need to learn that. Tommy, we could be like starting a band.
With what? How to do recording?
Like with Logic and stuff.
Dude, I'm telling every person listening to this podcast that has Apple devices, play with GarageBand. It's the coolest thing. Once you figure it out and you can send shit back and forth to your buddies, it's really cool.
See, I haven't, like, my wife has a MacBook from work, so like that's what I'm using right now. But I've never even opened GarageBand, like, because I always thought like, oh, I don't know how to record or anything like that. And I don't have anything. How do you plug a guitar into a computer?
Well, there's definitely
you got to buy the thing,
an interface.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a couple things.
Thanks, like, Keith.
What's that?
Keith's like, you gotta buy the thing.
The thing.
Yeah.
You need the thing,
Yeah. People have told me to get that thing. I've been
Is it really just like, it looks like the plug that goes into your guitar and then there's like a USB on the other side?
There's that, which the problem is latency, which is, like you'll play a note and then like a half a second later you'll hear it.
Oh, okay.
So I started out with some Amazon $10 USB to quarter-inch guitar cables, which was cool, but like the latency was terrible and it sounded like shit. So I ended up getting like Focusrite, whatever this is, interface, and doing it that way. But the other dudes, they just have like some little tiny gizmo that they plug into their guitar and into the computer. I'm not exactly sure what it is. But it's amazing, the technology. You could just email it. They could add a track. You could email it to another guy. He could add a track. You could shoot it, wherever. It's kind of awesome because that's what we did with Blueskiesfade, and then I send it to the guy to mix it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's amazing. The drummers that are in it, I mean, they're programmed drums or whatever. But if you don't have a drummer, you just, it'll just like read what, your guitar track or whatever, and just start throwing drums on it that like actually work. You know what I mean?
Shit.
It's definitely cool. I keep telling, I'm doing another band too, by the way. I keep telling those guys that I was like, you guys got to mess with this. It's kind of awesome.
Let's talk about this new band.
Uh-oh. It's kind of a crazy thing, actually. I'm playing guitar, which I don't even know how to play a guitar. I don't know if they know that. But I bought a guitar like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Anyway, yeah, it's called Hard Turf, and it's a bunch of dudes. Scott Emhoff from Brothers Keeper. He's in it. Josh Alvarez, which is in. What the hell's his band? Cross Keys. He was in a whole bunch of other bands. He's also does the podcast Cinepunks. If people are into movies. There's a dude. His name's War Dog. I don't know what his. He goes by War Dog. I think
That's
he's
a
like
cool name.
I think he's like a doctor, a brain surgeon or something, and he doesn't want the world to know what he does.
Fair enough.
Anyway, he's
Dr. War Dog.
Yeah, he's from Virginia. He drives up to Philly for practice, and this guy Jason Swisher from Harrisburg, who's been in a bunch of bands as well. So
what kind of music is it?
It's hardcore.
Yeah.
It's kind of like stoner rock and hardcore crossed together. It's like got like riffy parts, but like crazy breakdowns. You know what I mean?
Nice. Are you just playing guitar?
Yeah. I might do backup vocals or something, but yeah, pretty much just gonna play guitar. At least try.
That's awesome. Yeah, I haven't done a band since 2018, and we put out an EP, which I'm very proud of. But sadly, I was detailing my plan for bands before, like all the shit you do before you announce the band.
Right.
Well, I did that, and by the time I did it, the band was broken up. But we put out the EP, and that's great.
Yeah,
and
cool.
if nothing else, it's provided some music for this show.
I haven't been in a band since 2000, so
Holy shit.
Well,
it's been a solid 2 decades for me. So
what was a solid 2 until last year or whatever.
Yeah, Ian, you and I kind of had the same path with that. Like, I got out of music and just going to shows and stuff like that. I just didn't keep up with it, and I didn't really kind of refine it until I couldn't even put a date on it. It's only been probably 4 or 5 years that I've actually really been like kind of like paying attention to music. Before that, I was just like, all right, fucking, I bought one of those iPods that holds like it's like a 120 gig one or whatever it was, and I just put all my music on that. That's 99% of the music I listen to is that, and if it wasn't that, I was in the car listening to like fucking MMR or like MGK or something like that, like classic rock.
I would say after This Day Forward broke up, I kind of lost touch with hardcore for a while, but I was listening to a lot of emo and post-rock and all that kind of stuff, post-hardcore. But, especially over the last 5 years, and I'm actively seeking new stuff. So I'm always listening for new stuff that's awesome. I've got my tentacles out in the scene now, so I've got new shit rolling in. So
yeah, Keith, I think that's really what got me back into like going to shows and liking music was you consistently would be like, yo, check this band out, and just send me texts about stuff. And the
family of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even if you haven't been there in 20 years, you go to any show, you'll see somebody you know. And, it becomes kind of cool.
I really miss that about Philly. Like, I could go to any show, and I would know someone.
Yeah.
And now I go to shows in New York, usually by myself, and I'm like, who are these people? Like, who are these people? No.
I don't. My initial reaction whenever you say I go to this show by myself, I'm like, how do you not drink? Yeah, that would be my go-to.
But I always drink.
Yeah, that would be my go-to. Like, all right, I feel nervous and uncomfortable. I have to have something in my hand, and I have to be like kind of opening myself up socially through alcohol. Like I would have to do it. Like I even kind of like thinking about it right now. I would be panicky. Like I'm like, everybody's looking at me. I'm the guy by himself.
It's weird, man. It's weird and it's hard because I can't drink anymore. I can't do shit, can't smoke, nothing. So I try to time it so I get there right when the band I want to see is starting, and I leave right when they're done. And sometimes I fuck it up and I'll miss half of a set I really want to see. But you know what, man? That's what you got to do.
That's the price you pay, though, with that kind of stuff. To make sure that you're on the straight and narrow, it's like fucking... Sometimes you have to make sacrifices, dude. Like, it's...
You do, and it's weird when being in venues, like, you know, you haven't been in a while. And I'm
yeah.
I did this in that bathroom. Oh, I got sick over here. I met this guy right over outside on this corner. It's like, you know, that kind of stuff.
I remember going into Kung Fu Necktie with you to go see All Else Failed. And this was, 2.5, 3 years ago, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
And I remember walking into the bathroom and I had one of those like real deja vu moments. Like I could not like stop thinking about, not the last time I was in there, but I had a very vivid memory of me walking in there and like the floor was wet and I lost my balance. And I remember like, I didn't like fall really hard, but I touched the floor with my hand. And I had like a real visceral like I'm gonna throw up kind of moment.
Yeah.
And I was already like really drunk. I was just like, oh no, fuck. And I remember I tried to get up. The first time I tried to get up, like I heard the door open and it like made me panic. So I slipped even a little bit more and I was like, fuck. Like, ugh. Like someone's not only gonna see me on the floor in here, like they're gonna know I touched the floor. Like they're gonna think oh my God. Like, and it was just like a panic inducing. And as soon as I walked in, I was stone sober with you and I was like, like lost my breath.
You just want to leave at that point.
Yeah, like I mean, it's just those memories flood back to you, and it seems to flood back at like the most inopportune times, and you're like, oh, I really just came in here to take a piss. Like, what the fuck? Like,
I've done that where I go into bathrooms and I have like a flashback, but for slightly different reasons. But I won't detail those now.
I got a terrible story for you.
Oh, please.
go.
So that show, we played that show with Sky Came Falling and Torn Apart. And 12 Tribes, Sky Came Falling, Torn Apart. I forget who else was there. It doesn't matter. So anyway, I think we played somewhere in the middle. And I remember, you know, the first couple bands played. We went up and played and just, you know... And at the end, it was like, I used to get this thing called I used to call it the pre-show shitters. It was like a nerve, you know, like a nerve thing, where you'd end up with like diarrhea because like, I don't know why it does it, but apparently it's a thing. So I remember being late or something and we just like, all right, I gotta just, you know, we'll just do the set. Let's do it. And then I'll run to the bathroom at the end. So we played the set. We played awesome. And I literally remember being done, dropping the mic, and beelining to the bathroom. And of course I hit the door, and it was like, oh, shit. It's fucking locked. And I'm like, is there somebody in there? Like, what's going on? And somebody was like, somebody broke some shit in there. So they just locked the bathrooms and said you can't use them anymore. And I was like, oh.
Okay, well...
Yeah, what am I going to do then?
Yeah, like, well, there's 100 to 200 people, whatever, is a bookstore in Syracuse. Like, what the hell is everybody supposed to do? So the first thing I thought, I was like, well, McDonald's is down the street. So I was like, I'll just hike it down to McDonald's. So I go out, I leave the venue, I'm heading down the sidewalk, and I'm walking. Next thing you know, I'm walking faster, and I'm running. And I get to the McDonald's, I get in the front door, and it's just like a full-on charge to the bathroom.
Oh.
Now, this is in between sets, so the entire goddamn show is at McDonald's at this point. And, standing in line, I take off through the front door and run, and I get my hand literally on the bathroom handle. And that was it. It was just
No.
So, we're in Syracuse. We just played a show. I have one pair of clothes, and they're completely ruined at this point, right? It was terrible. So what do? So I cleaned up the best I could. I go back, and we concocted this big giant story that I got real sick and blah, 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 and had to stay... I was sick and stayed in the bus. Meanwhile, we basically met all those bands. They were all hanging out inside the bus. So then I remember hearing the rest of the guys like, oh, he's really sick in there. You don't want to go in there and blah, blah, blah. And I think we were supposed to stay the night and then drive back the next day. And I was just like, no. So I remember the show was over. We had everything packed up, whatever. And I was like, I'm going home. Like, there's no way I'm staying the night. Because, like, I think I might even change my pants or something. But, like, it was I was ruined at that point.
Yeah.
So, and I remember like all the bands, like, what happened to Ian? Like, what, or they were trying to get on, they were pushing him back out, like, nah, like, he's sick or whatever. So I ended up driving home. I remember getting home at like 7:00 in the morning and like going right in and like jumping in the shower. And my dad was waking up for work and he's like, what the hell are you doing in the shower? I got to get in the shower. I was like, oh, I don't know what to tell you. We drove all night to get home, blah, blah, blah. But I always thought it was going to end up being like the dude in hardcore shit his pants at the show, right? Because there was just like so many people around when it happened. It was pretty terrible.
It's your legacy.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
So no one knew? Did anyone get on the bus and they're like, why is it smelling in here?
Yeah, the band, well, after we were packed up or whatever, the whole band got on the bus and they're like, what the fuck is that smell? And then I had to tell them the story. And then they were like, well, like nobody wanted to drive because it was like midnight or whatever at this point. Yeah. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I can't sleep. Like, I'll just drive. And they were just like bitching about the smell all the way back. But, so yeah.
Oh,
so I shit my pants in front of like 200 people.
I had my friend had like something really similar happen to him in, I think it was 7th or 8th grade. They went to go play in a tournament like for basketball, and it was like CYO, and they played at Germantown Academy. And he was like had diarrhea, and he was like trying to run to find the bathroom, and he went to the bathroom and the bathroom was locked, so he just found like a hallway that kind of had like a cutout in it and just pooped in there.
He did the Philly.
And he wiped with his underwear and left it there. And he's like, I remember we got back like the next day. I didn't play in that team, but I remember we got back to school like the next day or the week after, and they were like, yo, I'm not gonna say his name, so and so scored like almost 30 points. And I was like, oh my God. And one of my friends, Sean Bigley, was like, yeah, tell him why. He smelled so bad, nobody wanted to guard him. So he fucking literally was just driving to the basket every time and fucking making it. I was like, it was the fucking funniest thing in the world.
Awesome.
It's like, Jesus Christ.
That's a good strategy.
Actually,
set a scoring record by smelling terrible.
I know a guy that got out of a speeding ticket. And he said he had to, well, the reason why he's speeding, he had to shit. But he was just like, fuck it. And he shit himself. Yeah. The cop came up to the car. He said he rolled down the window. And he was like, dude, I had to shit. And blah, blah, blah. And the cop got the smell. And he said, that was it. Just go home. Just go clean yourself up.
Well, gentlemen, we've ended on a high note.
Uh-oh. Yeah, sure did.
So we can look forward to newly recorded Blueskiesfade songs at some point, right?
At some point, it's going to happen, yes.
It's happening right now.
It's just, it was supposed to happen by now, actually. This was the, supposed to be like, not really a release, but like, hey, here it is. Go download it or whatever. But yeah, I screwed up sending it to him, and now he's got a big mess to put back together.
So what about potential live gigs? Have you guys talked about that?
Yeah. Basically, if something came up that was, I guess, worth Brian driving from Atlanta up here, or to wherever. I know Josh Klein, who did played drums for their reunion or whatever. I'm pretty sure Brian was saying something that Josh would probably come down from New York and play, because he knew all those beats beat for beat. He sat there pretty much at every practice.
So how are you holding up during this whole COVID thing? Was there a period where you weren't able to work, or how are you getting by?
No, luckily I'm in vacant buildings all the time for the most part. I kept on keeping on. My wife got furloughed for a little bit, and then they brought her back. Now she's doing A couple days at home, a couple days at the office. And, you know, the kids are just being crazy as shit as always. Yeah. But yeah, no, like I never skipped a beat, and I honestly think I had it in the end of February, beginning of March.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I had, you know, insanely high fever and coughing to the point of throwing up, but never actually coughed up anything. You know, for 3-4 days, and then I finally went to the doctor, and they gave me some medication that I took one dose of, and I literally was up for 4 days. It was like,
Wow.
I was like, what did you just give me? Like, was it meth or something? Like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And whatever it was some sort of steroid, something or other. But it knocked out whatever it was, and it went away. But they tested me for a bunch of stuff, the flu and everything, and it wasn't that. And then when this came out, I was like, that's got to be what I had, you know.
That's crazy.
But I refused to go get tested because I don't, you know, I don't need them tracking me wherever I go.
Oh, you believe in that?
Well, they are, from what I understand. You know, it's you know, something that they're doing with their cell phones.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
That if you have
actually,
it, they're. And my big thing is when all that shit's over with, and some asshole hacks into that database, the lawsuits and whatnot are going to be insane. Like, you gave me COVID. You know what I mean? Like,
so my cousin's actually going to she's going back to college next week. She goes to Wesleyan, and she was saying that when she gets up there, she has to quarantine for 2 weeks. They have an app where you order all your food, so all your food is basically delivered to your room, so nobody's leaving their room. And then twice a week you get tested. And then there's something else on their phone, like it's an app that I guess the university has developed, and it's if you are symptomatic and you test positive, it automatically alerts all the people that have been within the vicinity of you. Yeah, like if you had like if you say you tested positive, it would alert everybody like, oh, you have a 3 o'clock sociology class with this person who's tested positive. You now need to quarantine for 14 days.
Tommy, we should develop something like that, but for the Northeast scene. Like if someone hasn't heard the podcast, you're notified to stay away from them.
I always thought about like it was like, remember those when they came out, like I guess at the same time as iPods, and it was a Zune. Do you remember that thing?
Yeah.
And it was like you could actually like transfer music by like tapping your Zune with somebody else. Like it would give you like a limited amount of plays, so like somebody could give you music and you could listen to it 3 or 4 times. Mm-hmm. In my head, I was like, is there a way that we can like tap people's phones or like get within proximity of people and then like put it on their phone so they like it's on there?
Like
yeah,
all of a sudden they're
when iPhones came out, there was this bump app that everyone used, and you could like switch contacts that way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know why it stopped, but I don't want my phone touching
somebody
else's
else's
phone.
anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. But I got the COVID test, swab and antibodies, and I do not have it. So that's another success for me. Well, Ian,
Well,
we want to thank you
no,
for
thank you
coming on the
guys.
show. Yeah, this was awesome. I always wondered what happened to you, and now I know you were smuggling drugs at a bar in Houston.
Smuggling drugs in Houston, and
Yeah.
you know.
Well, listen, I want to thank you for coming on for real, though. Like, my earliest memories of going to shows, Blueskiesfade is right there, and I just always wondered what happened to you guys, and, I'm looking forward to hearing some re-records of the classic tunes, and hopefully maybe seeing you guys live again one day.
Oh yeah, seriously, I appreciate you asking me being on, and congratulations. Really, this thing seems like it's taken off pretty well.
Yeah, man, it's a lot of fun. More people are listening than we imagined, and I just haven't heard anything bad, which is not usually the case. So.
And you can think about it as if you started a band 6 months ago, whenever you started this, would you have 2,500 followers or whatever it is on Instagram? and that many listening in the whole 9 yards.
Now, Tommy and I
Hard to
always
say.
talk about this. I was continually surprised by how unsupportive people are of bands. That like when I would start bands, most people would not care or even listen to the record or help out with a show or anything, or
Right.
like just nothing. So I expected that to carry over to the podcast. However, it's been the complete opposite, and
That's cool.
everyone has been very supportive, and we love doing it. So I know that we have to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely cool, and it's created like I'm going to say like a nostalgia thing between the huge group of people that we all see at shows. Everybody sharing flyers and all that other stuff. It's pretty cool. There's like those dudes from Delaware. What's that? The dude from Delaware.
Delaware 90s hardcore. Right?
Yeah. Like they were doing it. And there's a couple New Jersey ones and stuff. It's cool. It's like everybody's reminiscing.
Yeah, I got inspired by all those sites. I don't know exactly when I came across them, but I was like, I need to do this too. And I'm glad I did, because this stuff needs to be preserved, man. I would like to do like a book eventually with flyers and stories and pictures of the bands, and just like, I don't know, man. This is important history to me.
And it's something we always like. I rarely look back on that stuff and don't, and I always think of it fondly. Like there's few and far between memories that are just not positive things.
It
always
was
such a
definitely one of the greatest times in my life.
Yeah.
That was cool being able to go see bands 3 nights a week at the Stalag or wherever it was, at the time. It was pretty cool.
And then go talk with your friends about the bands you just saw.
Yeah, or meet the bands, or some of these dudes that that we all hung out with that play or are playing for the bands that we used to go see. That's cool too. Like it's amazing how some of the guys from our area like really took off with different stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Yeah. Well, Ian, thanks again for coming on.
you got it.
There you have it, folks. The Ian Kerner discussion. I don't like to call it an interview. That seems like too formal. You know what I mean?
We just ask him a bunch of questions and then
Yeah, the interview. No, it's a discussion. Listen, I was excited to talk to him. I had no idea what he's been up to. He was just gone, and now we know he was working at a crazy ass bar in Houston.
yeah, and doing construction.
I want to work at that bar. That seems like a good time.
It seems like a recipe for disaster for a number of reasons.
Imagine if someone called you and they're like, "Hey, we have illegal goods in your car. Don't touch them and don't stop on your way home, or we'll call the cops on you."
It depends on who it is. Like if
I'd be like, "All right, call the cops. I'll tell them you gave it to me." Like,
yeah, I'd be like, yeah, fucking, how about this? Go print out that bag, dum-dum. I guarantee none of my prints are on it. So, and I bet yours are all over it because you're a fucking dumbass. Like, fuck you. How about I take your drugs and I take them to the nearest person that'll flip them and fucking, you'll be out 10 grand or whatever the fuck it's worth. Like,
yeah. See, we would say all that stuff, but we'd probably not do any of that.
I would be, if somebody said that to me, in my head I'm going like, I don't know if it's, I don't know. Like, there's part of me that wants to be like, yeah, like I would be like no, I'm standing up to this, but the other part would be like, look, if somebody that has like an enormous amount of money invested in drugs, like the capabilities of what they're going to do to me if they don't get their drugs when I get there, I don't want to have the cartel after me or something like that and then fucking end up headless out in the desert.
If it was multiple years ago, I would have flipped the drugs into my face. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that was a good chat though. So, we got a couple new reviews. Are you ready for this?
Nice. No, I haven't. I have not read these yet.
The people are listening to our repeated requests for new reviews.
Thank God.
So here we go. First one is from Mike Shaw. Ooh.
Oh, another This Day Forward member.
Yes, loving the Northeast scene. Can't recommend this pod enough. Hosts Keith and Tommy navigate the conversations seamlessly and provide valuable insights and comic relief. The myriad of perspectives give us a glimpse into this special time and genre of music. Illuminating and fun to listen to. 5 stars.
Nice work.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate you.
That was a coherent and well thought out review. I appreciate that, sir.
When I was reading it, it was almost like This Day Forward lyrics. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Another review from E Dizzle. Ed was taken. LOL. That's like the whole name of the person.
Oh, okay.
All right. Loving this podcast brings me back to such a special time in my life. Keep up the great work. 5 stars. So thank you both. Thank you to everyone who's listening. This is great.
That's really good. I'm glad people are listening to it, man. That makes me happy.
Yeah. People are reaching out. People are listening. This is what we want.
Yeah, especially if you have like a job where you can kind of like put your headphones in and do work. That's pretty chill. Like you can kind of like spend your day doing that. I envy you.
Yeah, Thursday through Saturday are my podcast days. I only listen to one basically, but you know, like Howard Stern is Monday through Wednesday, but he doesn't do shows Thursday and Friday. So I'll listen to a podcast the other days.
He only works like 3 days a week?
Yeah, I'm trying to get on that level.
Yeah, well, aren't we all?
All right, so I have important show news. Are you ready for this?
Go.
2 nights ago, I won Warzone in Call of Duty. My team, first place. First time, first place. It was teams of 4, right? Quads.
Okay.
We only had a 3-man team, and we were down a person, and we won. We won the whole thing.
Against 4 people?
Against 150 people in teams of 4.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Should you play with the same people over and over again? Like
no, it's always random people. All of my friends who I know in real life who play, they never play with me.
Okay.
So that's a whole separate issue. But it's like roulette. You most of the people you end up playing with aren't very good, but eventually you land on a team with great communication and great skill, and you win.
That's so you have a headset on and you're like talking to them and stuff.
Oh yeah, the full nerd regalia.
That's pretty cool though. I mean, I don't see that as nerdy. I feel like that's a cool like cooperative skill to have, to be able to get with a bunch of strangers and be able to fucking like coordinate something. Like that's pretty good. I would be terrible. I'd be cursing people out.
Yeah, but the high has worn off because I got the win, and every game I've played since then has just been atrocious. So now I'm like, I'm searching for that next one.
Now, do you play like the regular, like, I don't even know what you would call it, like the story mode, whatever, like the reg by yourself one? Is that like...
No, I don't even bother with that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm too addicted to the multiplayer. So that's a big win for me. Now, there's some scene controversy going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
Are you ready? Yeah.
I do know about this a little bit.
I saw This Will Destroy You posted on their Twitter. This Will Destroy You has parted ways with Chris King. We wish him the best in his future endeavors. Out of nowhere. Very ominous.
Yeah.
Now, this guy's been with the band since like 2003. I don't know if that's when they started, but he's been in the band a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And then, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
This Will Destroy You's own drummer, Robbie Gonzalez, posted on Instagram and said, "To whom it may concern, regarding my band's last post, this was in no way or form discussed as a band." Which means someone made the decision to kick out this other person, I forget his name already, Chris King, and did not consult the rest of the band.
So this was a unilateral decision, like you're fucking out, and that's it.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on. I
don't know. You should fire me like that. I I'd never find out. I would just keep showing up. I'd fucking never know because I have 2 Twitter names and I fucking don't know what either of them are at this point. I never go.
Imagine we have like so few followers on Twitter too. Imagine I just announced like Tommy is no longer with the show.
Somebody'd have to reach out to me. I wouldn't know. Like,
you'd be waiting for the invite to join the session, and you'd just be like, "Why is he late? He's never late."
Yeah, you're never late. So that would be my first clue. At that point, I'd probably just be like, I'm probably fired. All right.
No, that's terrible. I want to know what's going on. If anyone from this will now listen, we don't mean to stir shit here. We're huge This Will Destroy You fans. I go see them every year when they play Brooklyn. But I want to know what's going on. I'm a curious person. I want to know what's going on. So if anyone from This Will Destroy You or Robbie wants to come on the show and talk to us, open invite.
That is a hefty task. Could that if they can imagine if we got on like all of them and then they just had like a major blow up on here.
That's my dream. One of my show dreams. I want to broker a reunion or like settle some kind of huge beef on the show.
Or start a huge beef. Or just watch a band dissolve in front of us.
I want to do that too, but I shouldn't because it's bad.
Yeah, that's not great. However, that name of the Northeast Scene podcast would be on every blog and be like announced via the Northeast Scene podcast. This will destroy you.
Yeah, like huge blow up on the Northeast Scene podcast. Hopefully, we figure out what's going on. You know?
Yeah,
I want to know.
I'm interested to know too. They are one of my favorite bands. They rank up there. I mean, they're with like This Will Destroy You, Caspian. They're right up there. I mean, they're in that same echelon of post rock. So,
yeah, my top 3 post rock bands is probably Caspian, Mogwai, and This Will Destroy You. 1, 2, and 3. They're it.
You know what I was thinking though, and I actually thought of this the other day, and not the other day. I thought of this today when you were talking about This Will Destroy You, and I was like thinking about. For some reason, had like a real like emotional moment one day driving to work, and it was early as fuck. I mean, it was like 10 after 6 in the morning. And I was driving to work. You know that This Will Destroy You song, Burial on the Banks of the Presidio?
Yes.
There's the middle of that song where it just goes into that really soft guitar part. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. Holy cow, for some reason, I don't know, I just got goosebumps when I was driving my car, and I literally had I had to pull my car over. I don't know. Dude, it was like insane. It was such a weird thing. You know, like when you have like all like emotions just rush over you, and it's not bad or good, it's just like all of a sudden you just are like, whoa, like it was just too much all at once. And I'm in my head, I'm going like, you're driving a car, pull over, get it. So I literally pulled over at 7-Eleven in Morrisville and like sat in the parking lot for a couple minutes. And I think it was like for sure, like I sat there for a couple minutes and I was like, I don't even know why that came over me, but that's the song that was playing. That like that, and I don't know if that part brought it on or it was just that part just happened to be playing at that very moment, but I associate that with that memory every time.
Yeah, that song is in like every movie and commercial now, and then like other movies and commercials and TV shows do like blatant ripoffs of it. Oh, and really? I always see they're on this new label, and I always see the guy from the label like calling them out and being like, "Nice ripoff, buy it from us next time."
Hilarious. I actually, you know, it's funny. This is like kind of like not thinking about like ripoff. You know, it's a ripoff kind of thing, but there was a band we saw at This Is Hardcore a while ago, and it was they're called Billy Club Sandwich.
Yeah,
they're like I think they're New York, but for some reason the name just popped into my head. I don't know if I saw something about them, and I was like, oh, let me look them up on YouTube, and I did, of course, because that's where I look up music, Keith. So I looked them up, and the first track that came up is this track called Sucker Punch, right? And it has this really fucking great breakdown. And I heard the breakdown, I was like, wow, that's really good. And then as I'm like listening to it, going like, wait a minute, I know this breakdown. Did you ever hear that industrial band Ministry?
No. Well, I know them, but no, I've never. I don't think I've ever actually listened to them.
So my older sister that got me into like heavier music was very much into. She loved Ministry, and they had I bought a tape. I bought a cassette when I was like, I think maybe in 7th grade, and it was in case you didn't feel like showing up, and it was a live CD or a live cassette, and they had a song on there called Thieves. This Billy Club Sandwich song, literally, like note for note, just fucking took that Ministry break. It's a fucking like note for note breakdown. Like if you listen to the two songs side by side, they're indecipherable. Like it's that the only difference is that Ministry has program drums and fucking Billy Club Sandwich doesn't.
Yeah, Ministry is like a industrial band, right?
Yeah. So it's like I don't know how you say the dude's name, Al Jorgensen.
Jorgensen, I think.
Yeah. But him and I forget the other guy's name. I think something Barrett. But it's literally like two dudes, and it's fucking amazing. Like they're really, really good. But they were the first band that I heard that I remember being like, wow, this sound is like unbelievably good. But I was just listening to it today, and I was like, oh, Billy Club Sandwich. Oh, let me listen to that. Wait, they stole this from Ministry. And it's like, it's their top hit. Like, it's their big song. It has like almost 200,000 views. I'm like, fuck, they took that whole riff. Like, that's not fair. Like, I don't even know if I don't know if they acknowledged it or not, but like, it was blatant. It was like the exact riff. I was like, fuck, dude, that's really bad. They owe Ministry money.
Maybe it's a tribute.
Maybe
we have to be careful because I don't want to upset a band named Billy Club Sandwich.
Oh yeah, and they're all gigantic dudes. So anyway, Ministry probably stole that from you guys.
Yeah. Billy Club Sandwich came up with it first.
Dude, I'm gonna get my head kicked in by some fucking like New York dudes. But
no, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, this is the last thing they're listening to. If they're listening to anything, they're not listening to this.
Yeah, they have more important things to do.
Not more important things. They have like fucking, they like, read the daily news and shit like that and fucking go to like regular jobs. They seem like tough guys kind of dudes. Like they wouldn't sit down and listen to a podcast probably. I'm just digging myself deeper at this point. These guys are fucking gonna find
I'm
me.
like, Tommy, shut up. No, they're still masters of their craft. They're doing whatever they're doing is the right thing.
Sorry guys.
I was listening to now get this. I have a window open editing this episode of the podcast while we are recording this part of the podcast. Isn't that wild?
It is wild. It's funny how we do these things though, because then we think of stuff afterwards and we're like, oh, let's go back and re-record that, or let's go back and talk about this. We can add it on at the end. But I think you kind of nailed it last time when we were talking about stuff. Like there's a lot of times when we have guests on and it's like we don't get back to the you and I of like how this, like what we wanted to talk about in the first place. Like we
need to do that more.
Yeah, or even just like maybe, I mean, it doesn't even necessarily need to be more, but it needs to be like consistent. We need to do it at the same pace. Like, every 10 episodes it's just you and I or something. I don't know. We'll figure some kind of formula out for it, but it's like I enjoy it too because it's really a good time to kind of like play catch up with like where you and I are. And then it's also fun to just because like your brain goes different places. Like I never would have thought I would be talking about Billy Club Sandwich on. I never thought I'd bring that up, but it came up. So here we are.
The people need to get to know us too.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the other thing is like I thought about this the other day. We were watching something with my daughter, and we were going on Netflix, and you know how you can see like your recently viewed things, like you can see what you watched. And I watched a couple horror movies, and she was like, "Is that movie scary?" And I was like, kind of, but not really. And she's like, "Well, I find this out." Like she goes, "When I watch shows and they have like the scary episode, because she watches like Disney Channel shows, so they'll always have like a Halloween episode or something like that."
Yeah.
And like it's always end up being like it's somebody's dream or something like that. So nobody's dead in real life or But she goes, "I noticed that they get rid of the less important people like right away." She's like,
"Wow."
She's like, the people that aren't like big characters, like that nobody cares if they're gone forever. They disappear in like the first part of the show. And I'm like, yeah, that's why horror movies are great, because like you don't connect with any of the people, or the connection you have with them is, I fucking hate this person. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's always like some stereotypical like varsity Letterman jacket wearing jock dude that you're like, fuck this guy. I hope you get a fucking axe in the skull. Like that, like, you know, so like, you know, it's only when you actually really like a character and you're like, oh, that sucks that dude's dead. What the fuck? Like, you know, when Brooks dies in fucking Shawshank Redemption. I'm not saying that's horror, but like when you empathize with a character and you really grow to like them and then they're gone, you're like, oh, you feel something. But horror movies isn't about that. Horror movies is about fucking, let's slash some people up. Let's fucking ruin some shit.
Yeah. So I was listening to some of the Blueskiesfade album again as I was editing it, the episode. And yeah, man, I think if they would have stayed together with a solid lineup and done like another LP or two, they would have been like classics. Because when I listen to that Blueskiesfade album, I hear This Day Forward fragments. I hear like the first Hopes Fall album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that same early like metalcore sound. So if they would have like, I think if they would have stuck around and refined it, they would have had some even bigger classics.
Yeah, you know what? Ian mentioned a band, and he was talking about a show in either Buffalo or Syracuse, and he was like, I think it was with Sky Came Falling. And I was like, fuck, I completely forgot about that band. And I went and listened to them, and I was like, oh, I can totally see Blueskiesfade in this. Like, immediately, I was like, all right, yeah, no, I got it. Like, I got that part. Like, but it's, yeah, no, I totally agree with you. They would have definitely done something much bigger than what they ended up doing had they, you know. But like you said before, that nothing is more difficult than keeping a band together. Like, that is just, it's almost seemingly impossible at times. Like, when you think about bands like Circa or something like that have been around for a long time, and
with all the original members.
Yeah, and it's the same dudes. Like,
that's impossible.
It seems like it's improbable. Like, it's just, wow, like, what are the possibilities that you maintain that type of relationship for that long and still produce music that people want to hear? Like, it's crazy. Yeah. But, you know, it is what it is, man. I God bless those people that do stuff like that, because I certainly don't have I don't have the people skills. Like, I have people skills with with younger kids, like middle school age kids. I can get 30 of them to pay attention to me, but like adults, I have a hard time. Like, when an adult tells me something that like, I can't do this, I'm like, no, you don't want to do it. Like, don't walk around the subject. Like, this isn't about like, I can't do this. Like, this is like, you either do it or you don't. Like, you have the choice. You're an adult. Like, you can eat ice cream for dinner if you fucking want to. Like, but like,
and I'm going to. I got some Chipwiches today.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you find the other kind of flavors anymore, or no?
I've tried them and I don't like them.
Oh, you don't even like them?
No, I like the original.
Okay, I like the original too. Whenever we're down the shore, that's what we get.
Yeah.
Every day on the beach there in Sea Isle, they have this guy, the Fudgy Wudgy Man. He's just you know, if you don't know anything about the jersey, he's just a guy that literally pushes a cooler on wheels and fucking sells ice cream. It's fucking amazing.
Fudgy Wudgy. Yeah, that guy's a hero.
Dude, it's fucking amazing. However, the prices have gotten unbelievable at this point. Now, granted, they are literally walking you the ice cream on the beach. Like, they're walking it up to you. You don't have to go to the store. However, I bought my daughter's ice cream, and they both got Chipwiches. One of them got a chip, and then like somebody else got like one of the like a water ice and something else, and I got a Choco Taco.
Yeah,
$23.
Ooh,
I was like, "How much are those Chipwiches?" He's like, $4. I'm like, "Fuck."
Wow.
Those are expensive Chipwiches. You guys better not drop any of those in the sand.
Well, folks, that's it for today. Listen, I don't want to go through the whole thing again because I'm tired and I've got a pizza in the oven. But listen, like, subscribe, share, review, support. Become a member. Yeah. You don't have to do anything. Just say that you are and you're a member of the Northeast scene. We love you.
Yeah.
We love you.
Yeah, we want to hear stuff from you guys. We want to hear the stories. We want to hear the, talk about your scene in your town. We want to hear that stuff because that's what keeps us going. That's what drives this show is you guys. So we need you more than anything.
That's right. Northeastscene@gmail.com. Hit us up. Thank you, and until next time.